All good.
Welcome, everybody, to the regularly scheduled Board of Trustees meeting for Tuesday, June 13th, 2023. Is there a motion to open tonight's meeting? Trustee Rosenberg, second Trustee Taylor, all in favor. Tonight's meeting is hereby open. Let's rise, please, for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The first item on our agenda is a presentation to be made by the Chamber of Commerce. Welcome.
Hello.
Hello.
Thank you. We're just going to plug in our presentation.
While you're doing that, can you tell us who you are?
I'm Dina Fleischman. I'm the Vice President and Treasurer of the Rivertown's Chamber of Commerce. Michelle Adams is our immediate past president. And thank you very much for having us here tonight and giving us your time.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
While you're working on that, I could just do some resolutions, so go ahead. So, we're going to move to the appointments. I'd like to consider a resolution appointing Blake Jose as the member of the Traffic Committee for a term of 1 year, as recommended by the nominating committee. Trustee Sullivan, second. I almost said Trustee Nell, but Trustee Rosen Asher, all in favor. That passes unanimously, and we want to thank Blake for volunteering his time with the Traffic Committee. Is there a motion to appoint David Smith as a member of the Traffic Committee for a term of 1 year, as recommended by the nominating committee? Trustee Galen, second Trustee Rosenberg, all in favor. That passes unanimously. We want to thank David again for his volunteering as part of the Traffic Committee. I'd like to announce the appointment of Matthew Gorse as a member of the Ad Hoc Sustainability Task Force for a term of 1 year, as recommended by the nominating committee. Again, I want to thank Matthew for taking the time to volunteer. I'd also like to announce the appointment of Carol Pollack as a member of the Ad Hoc Sustainability Task Force for a term of 1 year, as recommended by the nominating.
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
That appointment, Ms. Pollack requested.
I see that. Thank you. So we're going to table that for a moment until further notice. So I'm going to retract that. Thank you, Liz. And would like to announce the appointment of Christine Cavallo Magno as a member of the Ad Hoc Downtown Committee for a term of 1 year, as recommended by the nominating committee. Again, we'd like to thank Christine for taking the time to volunteer for the Downtown Committee, and we welcome her. And it looks like we're ready with the chamber, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm trying to figure out, I use a Mac, so I'm trying to figure out how to get in presenter mode, but I'll just go from.
There's a little thing on the bottom right, next to the slider, looks like a screen. In that row down there.
Oh, down here.
Or it's blocked because we're sharing. Yep. There you go. Coming. All right.
Pull it back in. Okay.
Yay.
There it is.
Okay.
Sorry that
Team
took
effort.
so long. All right, so Dina already introduced us. Again, thank you for your time and allowing us to do this presentation. I don't know if you mentioned Vance, our current president, just had a baby, so he's on a bit of leave. I was the president and the vice president beforehand, so that's why I'm back here giving this presentation. So we just want to run through some Chamber of Commerce basics about us, and then talk about where we think we're going to go in the future and how we want to do that with the villages going forward. So, Dina, you can start.
Okay, so what is a Chamber of Commerce? A local association to promote and protect the interests of the business community in a particular place. A business owner that chooses to invest in the community where they do business is pretty much our membership for the collective betterment of the community and their business. And why is business important to the river towns? Small businesses are local owners and employers. They are the anchors of our downtowns, the hubs of our community. Convenience of goods and services is a key factor in deciding where to live. Money spent at local businesses is multiplied within the community. Our businesses help keep spending local and attract dollars to the region.
So we are established as a 501c6 organization, which means that we're a membership organization. We collect dues from our membership. By definition, the dues have to be a significant source of our income, but it does not have to be the predominant source of income. A couple other key points for us is that activities must be directed at promoting common economic interests, not just one or two businesses. We very much try to look at, get input, but look at the benchmark overall for business so that we're sure that we're not, like narrowing on any one person's opinion. And the last piece that we really look to is performance of particular services cannot be the organization's primary activity. So for businesses that might be like, I'm paying you X amount of dollars, what exactly am I getting for it? That's not how it works. It's a gym membership. You pay in, there are some dues that you can take advantage of, but there's more that you could put in to get out of it to be part of the community. So it's not a give and get relationship. The other piece of this is that the success of our agenda is, and the benefit to these businesses is that we can have the resources to plan in a timely way. So we collect the dues at the beginning of the year, and we have a good idea what a piece of our budget is going to be for that year. Why do we think the chamber in particular is important to the river towns? We are an organization of small business owners and entrepreneurs. We personally, as the members, are able to recognize the complexities of owning a business. We are in the best position to strategize how the community can support local commerce. We live it every single day. We know how to brand collective efforts to maximize return on investment. That's a big piece, that we have gotten applauded for as a chamber, is that we're very good at branding things and drawing attention to the things that we do, and we think that's an important piece of what the chamber does. So, to expand on this a little bit more, we are a collective group. We pull knowledge and funds in order to provide members with valuable resources. We provide an informed voice to shape business-friendly policies. We do community-facing efforts that confer consumer confidence to our member businesses. So seeing that somebody is a member makes you feel good about shopping there because you see that the chamber does X, Y, and Z for your community. And we represent 4 villages. This is a big thing in Westchester, I think, and Sherry would know better than us. I think that we're the only chamber that represents that many villages. So not only are our resources shared and not duplicated, but our reach is expanded. It builds community efforts across the villages. Honestly, our customers come from all of these villages as well, so it just makes sense for us to collectively work together and share resources. So, very quickly, a little bit on our benefits. This is all on our website if you want to look at it in more depth, but the benefits to a member is going to be different depending on their type of business. We've broken it down into 3 categories: publicity and promotion, networking and development, and downtown improvement and advocacy. So we do a lot with a little. I mean, many of these benefits that I'm about to show you are just you pay your dues, and these are things you could take advantage of if it works for your business. Publicity and promotion, a link on the website, a decal for your window, events on our community calendar, which get automatically shared to the chamber social media, the opportunity to participate in larger events that we do. We help out with ribbon cuttings for new businesses. We allow members to take over our Instagram. We share as much as we can to our Instagram stories to give them further reach on their social media. And we refer any questions about, what business should I look at? We're always referring to our members. Networking and development. We have a lot of remote businesses. This is a big piece for them. They can come to our chamber meetings and network at no cost. They get discounted tickets for other events where they could network. And we pool a lot of information. We pay attention to all sorts of email newsletters and kind of decide what makes sense for our businesses to see. We put it on our website, we send it out in our own newsletter, and we advocate for, other opportunities to the businesses as well. Last piece is downtown improvement and advocacy, which is what we do a lot with you. We try to facilitate a dialogue between the businesses and local government. We pay attention to federal and state advocacy opportunities. A lot of times those are online, just kind of sending a quick letter to advocate for businesses. We host village-specific discussions. We do 3 a year. We've already had 2 each for each village this year, and we're doing 1 more each in the fall. It's a Zoom discussion. It's open to members, non-members, residents, trustees, mayors. Anybody's welcome to attend and talk about business in their specific village. Like I said before, we create opportunities to drive visitors, whether that's residents or visitors from outside the river towns, and we send newsletter emails with very important information. So if a business wants more than any of that, if they want more opportunities to be seen, they could sponsor events or general chamber initiative. They could host events. They can curate workshops or speak on their area of expertise to try and get clients. They can purchase marketing opportunities on the website, email, social media with the chamber beyond what we already give them. And they can also lead projects. If someone comes to us and says, I think this is really important for this subgroup of businesses, we're not going to say no. The board needs to look at that event and make sure it does serve, a certain population. We need to make sure that we have the budget to support them in that effort. Some examples of this are the Holiday Trolley, our Shop Local Guide, Best of Westchester, and Women's Social Events. So Dina's going to take this one.
So what does all of this look like in action? The board of directors consists of volunteer members only. We have five members and the executive board, consists of 5. The immediate past president, the vice president, the treasurer, and the secretary. And we also have a minimum of 8 voting members. Those are the 2 representatives from each village. So the village reps are also on the board. The board is tasked with making the important decisions relating to the managing of the organization's legal and financial obligations, as well as the general oversight of the function of the chamber. They conduct advocacy efforts, support the member benefits and projects as needed, and the project chairs are another part of what we do when we do need to put things in action. In the past, we had committee chairs where we had formed committees in specific areas. We found that it was easier and it made more sense to develop project chairs ad hoc as needed. So any of the members could come up with an idea of something that they want to do that will benefit the larger group, whether it's a particular industry that they're in, and they can, go with that, and the staff and the board will support them. We do have a small staff of paid contractors. We use them as need be and as the budget allows. They sponsor, they manage the sponsorships, the dues management, the invoicing, again, when the budget allows. But communication on the website, email, social media, that is also a big piece of where we need help, and they jump in there, and they do the outreach. Currently, we have 108 members spread across our villages. Dobbs Ferry has 40. We have 25 from Hastings, 19 from Irvington, and 8 from Ardsley, and the balance is from members who have business or they're located physically elsewhere in the county but do business in the river towns. Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry, yes. And the total dues collected today for 2023 has been $27,000. So we're working to increase our membership, obviously, as always. And our events really do help in that effort. When we find that when we have events specific, especially to the downtowns, we are more likely to get members new members.
So with that information, you can see like we said, we do a lot with a little. It's a very small amount of money, and it's a lot of volunteers. So a further investment of time and funds expands our ability to support the economic interests of each village. How do we see ourselves sustaining the chamber? Obviously, first off is increasing membership through prioritizing the needs of businesses, as Dina just mentioned. Increasing events that drive awareness to our downtowns and providing, using those events to provide fundraising opportunities to the organization so that we can further grow. And then the last piece that we're really here for today is to talk about expanding village partnerships to be favorable to the chamber's growth. So what do we think a productive village chamber partnership would look like? First point is collaboration, conversations and support and regular communication from mayor, trustees, village staff about things, about either issues that come up or events before things get recommended to go to a vote. We'd like to be part of the discussion and the decision-making before the decision is made. We think that a downtown advocate, and I think I understand that you have approved funding, is that correct, for that in Dobbs Ferry? So you're on track for that. This is a huge piece in Hastings for us. Barb has her set of duties that really fits well with what the chamber does, and we work together really well, and we're both stronger and more effective for having both people working together. So thank you for getting a downtown, or looking for a downtown advocate. The next piece is official recognition of the organization. Some kind of official understanding that we're going to work together. In Scarsdale, they signed a memorandum of understanding recognizing the Scarsdale Business Alliance as an official sponsored organization of the village. We'd like to do something similar. We'd like to talk about in that MOU, what the commitment is to collaboration, what in-kind services may be available for events that we plan or budget for projects that we think would make sense for the downtown. That's it. I hope it was fast enough for you. We can take questions now if you have time for it, or you could email us questions. It's up to you.
Okay, I think we'll email you questions unless you have some.
I just want to say something quick. So for those of you who don't know what my day job is, I am the Director of Policy and Programs for Small Business and the Chambers of Commerce for Westchester County, for the county executive. And I have the privilege of going all around the county working with all the chambers of commerce. There's at least 30 of them in Westchester. Some are geographic, some are demographic, some are combined. There's only a couple that have multiple municipalities. So this is one of them. There's Sleepy Hollow, Tarrytown, and there is the Hudson Valley Gateway Chamber up in Peekskill. So this is a really, really important organization to build continuity and relationships between the river towns and between the businesses and the rest of the citizens. And they have been on the receiving end of a number of grants and opportunities through the county because of the great work that they do. So people don't know what this chamber did during COVID is they made sure to help support the restaurants and deliver meals, get food to people who were hungry. So this is not just about trying to increase the profit of a store. This is about, they look for opportunities to help the community in a grand way. And I've also had the pleasure of seeing that the more the municipal government works with the chamber, the stronger both of them are to suit the needs. So I applaud you for everything you've done, and thank you for the presentation.
Thank you, Sherry.
No, I do think you raised some good points, and we'll take a look at it, and if we have any other questions, we'll let you know, we'll ask you. But I certainly do think when we are doing something that affects the downtown, we should talk to you guys. But I think you also had, I think the parking was a good example of where you did have input in the parking, right? So.
Yeah, I think I told you guys a lot about it.
So.
Always.
So that was an example of where, you did have a voice and we did listen to that. So, but I think going forward, we will talk among ourselves how we can work closer with you, so thank you.
Thank you.
It's also been
You guys do
really-
great work. Thank you.
And to see you working for all the sesquicentennial events with the Recreation Department, there's already been so much changing in that dynamic, and I'm really excited to see what that partnership brings about. I mean, fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your time.
Okay, but now we're going to move on to the public hearing. So is there a motion to open the public hearing to consider a local law to amend Dobbsbury Code, Chapter 290, to clarify parking regulations? Trustee Sullivan, second trustee Rosen Asher, all in favor. This public hearing is now open. Let me just say at the outset, we've hired a parking consultant who's studied this problem. We've had input from residents, we've had input from local businesses, and we're trying, something new and different. I know that with the kiosks and some of the extension of the hours and the trying to eliminate or clarify the parking permits, it's created unwanted change for some people. And again, we're trying something. If it doesn't work down the road, we certainly can change it down the road. But this is not something that we've just thought of out of the top of our head. We have spent a lot of time and energy on it, and we're open to listening to the public also. But before we open it up, Richard or Laura Lee, can you tell us what we're talking about?
Yeah, you'll have a draft of an introductory local law in front of you, and as with all other local laws before you, the provisions of your current code that are being amended are included in this local law. The deletions are noted, the additions are noted. We've added some definitions for metered parking and for municipal parking areas, and we've tried to accommodate the recommendations from the parking consultant and the recommendations from the chief of police. And the committee was chaired by Margaret Parr, the assistant to the village administrator. So what this before you is as a distillation of all the comments and all the decisions you've made since the topic arose early in February, I believe. So this is the prerequisite to you then adopting a resolution establishing parking fees, and also a resolution to you adopting the on-street metered parking areas, those areas which will be subject to the kiosks and the park mobiles and the enforcement hours as set forth. So a lot of changes have been made just in the last 2 weeks based upon your workshop from the last meeting.
You mean February 2022, don't you?
Yes, I do. So that's where you are. And just a reminder that residential parking then reserved under the home rule message is set forth and is not being amended substantially in any way because that would require permission from both houses of your Albany legislature and a signature again from the governor. That's in your Article 12, and that's 290-46. There are just minor housekeeping and editing there. There's nothing substantial that can be added or subtracted, and that's because it's New York State law. Vehicle and traffic law itself was amended to accommodate this residential parking permit program.
So essentially, and this is open to either Margaret or anyone on the board, essentially, this law is codifying what we've decided as far as, and frankly, it has extended some of the parking hours, correct? And it has also eliminated a number of permits.
Consolidated the number of permits were overwhelming and unwieldy and difficult to understand by those who were seeking permits. So you have distilled the permits down to those that are now listed in this code with the qualifications that are also listed in the code. So you're aware.
And I think one of the goals is what we've tried to do is to increase the movement of cars out of downtown. And I think people will complain, you know, I want to go to Reader's, but there's no parking spot, so I'm not going to go to Reader's. Or I want to grab a sandwich and I can't find the parking spot, so I'm not going to go to Dobbs Ferry to get a sandwich. So what this main goal of this law is to do is to move cars from their spots. And I know people may not be happy with that because in the past, we had no parking fees. People would park there for days on end. Or in the past, you'd be able to park there for a longer period of time. But we didn't have enough movement of cars downtown, and it really affected the businesses and the people who wanted to shop there and take advantage of our great restaurants and shops. So one of the goals in mind in doing this was to get, and I don't want to say churning, but to get those cars moving so that we get new cars in and always have a busier downtown and people finding spots. And I think we have accomplished that so far. People have said that it is easy. I know the restaurants love it, and some of other people have said it's easier now to find a spot and shop or near the library or even go to the post office. So I think it has accomplished that, and I know that the kiosks are, you know, with something new and different, but I think that's also just helped. In the long run, they're better than parking meters. So we're going, you know, each of us can talk about what we think about the benefits or the drawbacks are, then the public can speak, and then we can move forward with it. So why don't we just start from the left on? So Jessica, you want to?
Sure. I'm really excited about these proposed changes. I think they follow best practices in terms of making it more financially, putting the financial incentive toward parking a little bit further away from the downtown concentrated business districts if you're going to stay there for a long time. We're preserving a lot of the opportunities for residents of the downtown to access the parking lots that they're used to, as Lori Lee noted. This does not affect the changes to the street parking that downtown residents are entitled to per the home rule law. We're dealing with the meters and the permits, which I know is a little bit confusing for, given that this is a lot of legal language. But what I'm really excited about, especially from the downtown perspective, is the strong incentive that we put in place to park at 99 Cedar. We've made it a $25 permit on an annual basis for anyone who lives on Cedar or Main and is otherwise entitled to the more expensive Village Hall and Oak Street lots, as well as any business owner or employee of any downtown business. So that we're trying to encourage employees of those businesses to park, if they're there for the whole day, for an entire shift, you park in 99 Cedar, you walk a couple blocks to your place of business, and then that spot is not taken up in front of the place of business. And we all know how difficult it is to pop in and pop out of these businesses for a few minutes at a time historically. So my anecdotal observations on Cedar and Main, and also what I've heard from other business owners in those areas, has been very positive so far. And I'm really excited to see what happens with 99 Cedar and hopefully get a little more action down in that direction so that we can just keep the entire downtown zone moving in a way that facilitates more patronage of businesses and more visits to Dobbs Ferry from other communities.
I think one of the overarching goals has been simplification of what was a Byzantine and complicated system. And one of the pieces of that, and this is, as with everything else, this is all one big experiment, and allowing for free 15 minutes if you just need to pop in and pop out and not have to worry about, putting money in a meter. People might not realize this, but we pick up the park mobile fee for that. So that is a real benefit that we're offering, and I think that's there to make things even easier for a quick stop, dropping off at the dry cleaner, et cetera. One of the things that I think is complex is that while we are simplifying the permitting process, There have been people who have been used to being able to park at all times at Cedar and Main through a particular permit, and that's going away. And I do have some concerns about how that may play out, especially in Lower Main Street. But that's something that we, through the village, the PD, will be watching for, and I'm sure we'll hear some comments from residents as that plays out. But I think, on net, we've taken a long time and given a lot of thought to how best to simplify and make for a more modern and useful parking system. We know there are problems with bandwidth, especially if you are a Verizon subscriber. We are working on, and I know I've been saying this for a long time, but we really are working on ways to figure out how to solve for those. We'll see how it goes, and we'll make adjustments as needed.
I don't have anything specific to add.
Larry?
I think I'll just acknowledge, as I think the whole board does, that this does change things, and change, can be something that people have to adapt to. But overwhelmingly, when village residents are surveyed, the vibrancy of the downtown is one of the things that people look for. And we are hopeful that this is going to help make parking easier and going to increase the vibrancy of our downtown, and that will help everybody. I do have one drafting question associated with this, if this is the time for that, or should we do it afterwards? At the very end of the section on resident and commuter parking permits, there's something called the residential parking permit.
That's the home rule legislation.
Okay, so that's the neighborhood parking permit is what I would call it. For
Those
living on specific streets.
Those qualified through an act of the state legislature and signing a bill by the governor a number of years ago. It needs to be justified with various parking studies, and I believe the justification for them to allow you to provide permits
It's just it's okay, I understand what you're saying.
Was the commuter situation.
Right.
Yeah.
So just the labeling of it is not perfect, but we can fix that. We can fix that next time. And I would also reiterate that the residents of the downtown can park at 99 Cedar all year, all the time for $25.
Michael?
I don't have anything to add.
I just also thank you for all the comments, and just reiterate, we did spend a lot of time on this, and it may not be perfect, but parking is one component, but we also have a very walkable downtown too, and we do, want to do what we can to encourage people to try to walk in the village if you can, and the simplification of all the permits. We're trying to boil it down to what's going to be the easiest for people. And we do want to encourage, we have this parking lot at 99 Cedar that is basically a block and a half away from, 70% of what's in our downtown. So I know there's a steep slope, there is a staircase, but I do think, there's going to be some bumps in the road. But I have also heard from business owners already that it's really been helpful. And I do agree that, based on the presentation from the chamber also, that we need to focus a lot on the assets that we have in the downtown and to try to improve that. And so increasing pedestrian traffic and increasing the ability of consumers to actually go and support the businesses will help everybody in the long run.
Okay, anybody from the public like to speak?
I'm wearing my hat as the chamber rep for Dobbs Ferry. We want to just say.
Who are you?
Patty Steinschneider, live here in Dobbs Ferry. If you read Nextdoor or Facebook, you guys have just thrown this together with no consideration, no effort. You get everything wrong. The reality is you've done an amazing job, in my opinion, a daunting series of conflicting interests that you've somehow managed to get done. It's not all perfect for everybody, but it's a very good start, at least, for getting the system to work for all the different needs. When we were talking about the kiosk and how great that was going to be for all the people who are phone-oriented, the people who said, I don't want to have to do it on my phone. We've got the kiosks where they can do it for us. So I think you've done a really good job of putting it all together. I think there's still some tweaks that we need to do. One that's come up is like if you're an engineer working in Lower Main and you have to get to jobs during the day, you're not allowed to come back and repark unless you wait a certain time. So we might find ways of solving that. But I think what you've done is great, and we really appreciate it. And your comments, Sherry and others, Jess, it really has been very, very helpful to the vitality of downtown. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Anybody else? Sure, come up.
Which one works? All right. How you doing? My name is Cyrus Mianduabi. I am the founder and president of Integral Engineering Services at 27 Main Street, Dobbs Ferry. I've started my business here and I've been here about a year and a half, 2 years, full-time. And I just can't, and Mr. Rosenberg, I want to first say thank you for your appreciation of pointing out the Verizon cell phone towers. And it's not just Verizon cell phone towers, it's also T-Mobile, it's also AT&T. I mean, the service in Dobbs Ferry is terrible. I cannot have a phone conversation with my clients unless I am in one spot in my office and do not move. Like, don't move, and I have the tinfoil set up. It's really a disservice to I mean, my ability to half of my business is in Westchester and half of my business is in the city. And when I'm talking to developers in the city, they don't. It's really embarrassing to a point where I might have to move because I can't have a cell phone conversation in my car as I'm driving down Broadway or I'm driving down Main Street. And which leads me to my next point of you guys have been, consulting with the businesses in the downtown area, and I appreciate that. But, south of Chestnut on Main Street is really an afterthought to this community. There's no lighting, and there's no cell phone service, but also one kiosk to service that entire range is with no cell phone service. It's like, I don't know how you guys can enforce these laws. And again, as Patty had mentioned, I'm constantly in and out of the office. I have, running around. So I don't know how, if there's a special permit that you guys could offer for businesses to have, 4-hour, 8-hour, whatever the case may be. But again, it's not servicing the south of Chestnut because there's only one kiosk all the way up the hill. We've had tenants across next door. They moved because there was a hair salon. They have a lot of old clients, and those old clients can't walk, 2 blocks uphill to pay at a kiosk and come back down. So I urge you to take that into consideration, and thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Yeah, just to say, like, we, when we were making decisions about kiosks, we decided that we would start with an initial 5 and see where we were leaving gaps. And that certainly is I note your feeling like Lower Main is a bit of forgotten child there, and when we start to gather data and look at changes we might make, that certainly deserves to be something that we consider.
Anybody else?
My name is Zoya. I own the 27 Main Street where my son is residing for his business and my
Can you
business.
talk into the mic, please? I can't hear you.
I'm the owner of 27 Main Street. I lost one business because of the parking situation, because of the elderly, as Cyrus mentioned it. I have a new hair salon, and she's facing the same issue. Because with one kiosk, these elderly people coming to do their hairs, it's very difficult for them to walk all the way up there to get there, and as everybody mentioned before, with the telephone issue. And we need to do something for Lower Main Street. We are always a forgotten part of the town.
So would another kiosk over there make it better?
At least you need two more kiosks, one in this side, one on the other side. You have a
Can I
couple
ask
of
you-
businesses.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Is it feasible to run Wi-Fi in the business and provide access to Park Mobile via Wi-Fi within the hair salon? why isn't that feasible, or why isn't?
Because they have.
Again, we're trying to solve problems here, and I'm.
When the client comes in, they have to go to the hair salon, get a lot
They
of
could
times
use their
she's
phone in
using.
the hair salon if there's Wi-Fi. You don't need cell service, it could be on Wi-Fi.
We've been dealing with Optimum recently about the poor connectivity issues. You know, a Wi-Fi. I have one computer in my office, and when I'm on a Google Meet, like I said, the technology at my firm is just atrocious. There's Optimum doesn't have enough bandwidth for one computer, let alone to be able to distribute that as like an Optimum hotspot. You know, there are technical issues in terms of tech connectivity, but also just, you know, logistical issues with kiosks. To your point, I think that, you know, if I were me, and I was an engineer and I was designing, you know, the traffic study, hypothetically speaking, I would put one right in front of Scaparato's Deli, because that's obviously the most area. And then there's also maybe one in the middle, you know, that basically is the midpoint between those two. I think that'd be a good balance.
Okay.
Thank
Well,
you.
there's the libraries, yeah, between the library and Scaparata, somewhere in
Okay.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Also, are you going to get rid of the central business district parking? The permit, are you going to get, because this is what we, you know, most of the businesses, we use that permit to park in a specific area, especially in the lower, I have to come park in Cedar Street, walk all the way down. I mean, we are talking about good weather, but we have a bad weather too. I mean, something you guys have to work out with the lower Main Street.
Okay.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Anybody else? Okay, is there anybody online? No. Okay.
I think Bruce is. Bruce, were you?
I mean, it's connected, but I've been waiting for the public hearing.
Courtesy. Yeah.
Are you waiting for courtesy of the
That's
floor, or
next.
you want to talk about parking? Okay,
Yeah,
we're not there
that's
yet.
coming up.
Okay.
Okay. So if there's nothing further, I'll take a motion to close this public hearing. Trustee Rosen Asher, second trustee Patino, all in favor? Okay, the public hearing is now closed. As we've said, we've studied this, debated it, changed it, discussed it, debated it again. So I think we're ready to move forward on this. So is there a motion to establish on-street metered parking zones as provided in
No.
section? Nope, I've skipped it.
You have to
Okay.
draft, you have to address the introductory local law
Wait, let me just
before
go
you can
back.
proceed.
Is there a motion to amend Chapter 290, Vehicles and Traffic of the Village of Dobbs Ferry Code to update the parking regulations as outlined in the draft? Trustee Rosen Asher, second. Trustee Galen, all in favor? That passes unanimously. Thank you. Okay, let's do the courtesy of the floor. Come on up. Come on up, Bruce.
Bruce Richards, can you hear this?
Yes.
Okay. 153 Main, I've been here 21 years, and I have a business up on the corner that used to be the old library. And in the last year, I'm going to read this because I get really nervous doing this. I've worked on this situation of the loading zone now for a couple of years. In the past year, the loading zone located at the intersection of Main and Cedar continues to be a problem in that location. During the time that the Main Street Sidewalk project was under construction in this location, the delivery trucks used the area of meter 119 around the corner. This area, which is adjacent to the municipal parking driveway by the north end of Zion Episcopal Church wall and across from the aqueduct, worked very well and causes far less disturbance and congestion. It is a more level area in which to work and for the deliveries to unload. It also allowed the deliveries to immediately access sidewalk instead of using the oncoming lane down Main Street to travel the entire block to Oak Street for deliveries to Sam's. This location also would be more easily accessible to Brick Oven, Cafe Latte, and Cafe Latte at this point. This corner is a high-value parking area, which is a big discussion tonight, serving morning and afternoon school pickups, drop-offs, the shoe repair shop, Brick Oven, Sushi Mike's, Readers, and soon Picola. For the delivery trucks, 119 is easier access to park and far less used during the day. Secondly, the current loading zone is restricted from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. None of the restaurants served open before 10. This disallows all the parents in the morning to park there. Sushi Mike serves beginning at 3:30 while outside with his outside dining, which is adjacent now to this loading zone when they're running their generators. To have this high-use area prohibited to the public during 11 hours does not seem reasonable or fair. Ace Trucking and Baldor are the only two that take away from take away from many. This area is a cash cow for parking tickets currently. Also, the two parking spaces currently being used have a tree planted in the middle. It was designed for cars. No problem for this car parking. As this tree matures, as the last one did, the trucks are forced to further into the street to avoid damaging the branches. This again causes the egress to lessen with the bump out on the opposite side, my side, and oncoming lane with no stop on the left turn from Cedar Street. So now you've really compressed that egress. You've got no stop coming around Cedar, emergency vehicles coming up, they swing around, the buses swing, and you've got oncoming traffic. Is that my 3 minutes?
It is. Are you almost done?
As for the business across the street, we're right across the street. If you just move around the corner, we'll still move it, but at least it won't be directly. I lost my tenant.
So the bottom line is you're suggesting that we have the parking, the loading zone at meter 119. Is that what you're saying?
And
Okay.
119, just to clarify, that's the first two after the entry to the parking lot.
Yes, here.
No, I got it. I'm looking at Google Earth right now. I just want to make sure we're looking at.
Okay, so if you could send that to us, and I know you may have already, but send it to us, and we'll talk about it with the chief and see.
Okay. You
Can I-
don't need it left here?
No,
Can I also just say that we are looking into, we are going to launch a survey to downtown businesses and residents about the loading zones. And there may be interim changes that can reduce the amount of time that those spaces are dedicated to loading zones, even before there may be a longer term issue about where they are, and that we'll have to look into that. But the amount of time per day and number of days may be an
One
easier.
of the other aspects of that timing, Hastings is a 30-minute limit. With the truck there
Interesting.
for 2 hours.
Yeah,
Blasting is, I can't.
It's very interesting.
I can't in good faith, I can't rent to somebody and handicap them that way. Really can't, and I can't afford to keep it myself.
sure.
thank you
All right.
so much.
You're welcome. Thank you, Bruce.
Thanks.
Anybody else? I guess that is a way around the 3-minute limit. You were for that is
There's
the public hearing.
the
and
public
then-
hearing about public
Right.
parking.
You're
and
right.
Now,
You're right.
we're on to my next issue.
You're right.
My issue is, well, first on the parking, if we could just add signs to notify the public when parking is being enforced, I'd really appreciate that, because I work late, and I came to my car
Yep.
There's a ticket at 6:30.
That's actually written into the law that we just passed, that notice has to be signed.
Yes, before I can get it enforced. My issue is really twofold, right? The downtown area, south of Chestnut, or even throughout the downtown area, there's crumbling infrastructure. There's facades with bricks that are falling off. And there's some hodgepodge patch repairs, may or may not have been done by a design professional. I wouldn't sign off on it. I get calls from decks right on Main Street that are about to be condemned because they haven't been properly inspected and maintained. And that's why I'm recommending and proposing something similar to the local law 11 in New York City that has a 5-year cycle on facade inspections. I think that'll be the best for all businesses, right? It'll maintain the aesthetic that we toil over with the planning board, and it'll also it'll look better. I mean, it'll look maintained because right now it just doesn't. There's nothing else to that I can say more on that. And if you can consider that something local law 11, I mean, to get design professionals to come and do brick pointing, or with these the Dutch gable roofs, there is a potential for someone to get hurt, and we don't want to wait for someone to get hurt, like the local 11, if you want to research that.
Would you send me some addresses, and I'll go through that with the building inspector later this week?
Yeah.
Trustee Patino, Dobbsbury.com.
No problem. I will.
Can you send me local law 11?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I'd like to see local.
Actually, my
send it to
senior
you.
project was on local 11, so I have a whole slideshow if you want.
The slideshow, I'd love to read it.
No, local law
I'll send you
11
some
was,
literature.
came about in late 1970s after a student at Columbia was hit by a brick
Well, there
and
was
killed.
local law 10, which was the
10.
1970s,
High
and
school.
then local law 11, which is 1998.
I got it.
After there's
Yeah.
there's a lot of literature. I'll send it to the board.
Yeah, it is a public
great.
safety issue, and if that's happening, then we should be addressing that.
Yeah, and it might be
I'm cut
property
off.
maintenance issue under the uniform codes, and it may just require some violation notices, so, right, thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Come on up. I just need you to tell us who you are and speak into the microphone.
My name is Eleanor Landau, and I live on Ogden Avenue.
A little bit better to that
Can you
microphone.
move towards the microphone, please?
The silver one. Is that better?
The top one.
Thank you. Is that better?
Yes.
Okay. I'll read then a little faster. On August 30th of 2022, I paid an application fee for a permit to replace the south retaining wall of my driveway. My contractor submitted the required documents to the village. We agreed on a price of $7,800, and I gave him the $4,000 deposit that he asked for. His plan was to use the material CMU. That's the same as the material for the current wall. At that time, nobody from the building inspector's office raised any concern about the material to be used or made any statement about what material was required. The contractor could see the wall was in very bad condition and could collapse, so he put up metal posts to keep that from happening. The architect completed the stamp plans and submitted them to the board to the building department by early March. So at this point, I needed a permit, but the building department said that board approval would be required for the use of the material CMU. That's the current wall is made of that. But if I used engineered block, then no board approval would be required. The contractor's estimate for that material, engineered block, was 20 to 21,000, which is really more than I can afford. My son David, he's a New York State attorney. He researched the Dobbs Ferry Municipal Code, specifically section 318B. And the code states that in-kind replacement of walls is exempt from mandatory review by the Architectural Review Board. I shared this with the architect. He emailed me, he said, my son was right, and you'll not need to seek planning board approval. I've already spoken to the building inspector concerning this. At that time, I paid the permit fee of $284 at the building department. The check was cashed, and I was told I would receive the permit, I would think within 2 weeks.
You
Go
can
ahead,
keep
go
going.
ahead, go
Thank
ahead.
you. When I didn't receive the permit, I called the building department. Dan Romer called me back, and he said to receive the permit, the contractor had to use engineered block, not CMU. If I had known about the material requirement at the beginning of the process, I would have gotten other estimates. But now it's too late. I think it's too late. The contractor's been waiting 10 months, and the switch to somebody else would really be very difficult. And what I'm asking is that a permit be issued and that the contractor be allowed to use the material CMU, which was stated at the beginning.
Can you give us, do you have something in writing that you can just hand in that we can then follow up on? Is that okay, or do you
Sure.
want to email it to us?
I have an email.
Well, could you just tell me what number at Ogden are you?
Excuse me?
What number Ogden? What's your address
Oh,
again?
my address is 67 Ogden Avenue.
67, okay. And I'm sure you probably have a photo of your house with the CMU wall?
I do. I
The
have
old-
a photo of.
Okay, so I'll talk to the building inspector tomorrow, and we'll figure out what's going on. And if you can show evidence that you had that wall before and you're replacing it in kind, you are correct. You are, we don't, if you're going to put up a new retaining wall
Yes.
and it's visible on the street, then we don't generally allow CMU. But if you already have it and you're fixing it, then that's allowable. So if you have that, we'll try to work it out.
So just give us him your information, and then we could contact you, okay? Thank you. Anybody else? Okay. Let's move to the resolutions. Resolution number 1 is to consider a resolution to establish on-street metered parking zones as provided in section 290-14 of the Dobbs Ferry Code.
Can I raise a question before we?
Yeah.
So, Lori Lee, the hours of parking enforcement, should these also include the days of enforcement? Because some of these are Monday through Saturday and some of them are Monday through Friday. And this doesn't speak to the days of the week, this resolution at all.
Why are you saying
I don't know where the chief-
Cedar or, Palisade is only Monday through Friday?
Palisades, we had decided was Monday through Friday. I could be wrong, and Margaret, you can tell me if I'm wrong, but I believe we decided that Palisades was Monday through Friday so that we weren't making little leaguers and folks pay for parking in that, on that day.
So Palisade Street from Chestnut Street South, between 5 and 6 p.m., and you want to say Monday through Friday?
Well, that's what
thought that's what-
it's not that I want to say it, it's that I think that's what we decided.
We decided that. it was-
And absent days of the week, this would look like it's 7 days, and.
I agree, yeah.
Okay.
So you just need to revise it before you adopt it.
Palisade High, Monday through Friday, 5 a.m.
Okay.
You meter-
5 a.m.?
That's just for Pat.
That's what it says, but he's saying the days of the week.
There's no days there.
Margaret's saying I'm right, which makes me happy.
So are there days of the week for all of these? We can,
Monday through Saturday for the first, for Elm and Main, Monday through Friday for Palisades and High.
Okay. They're all Monday, I didn't know the Elm was also Monday to Saturday. That just mean and, okay.
Just Palisades and High are Monday through Friday, the rest is Monday through Saturday.
We can add that to
And
the,
the waterfront lot is Sunday also, right? The waterfront lot.
it's not an on-street metered parking area.
Okay.
Yeah. We're talking just about the on-street metered parking
Right.
areas. That's what this is. Okay, so with the addition of days of the week to Elm Street, Oak Street, Chestnut Street, we'll add Monday through Saturday. Main Street and Cedar Street will add Monday through Saturday. And Palisade Street and High Street will add Monday through Friday.
Okay.
Thank you.
So as amended, is there a motion to adopt this law? Trustee Rosenberg, second. Trustee Galen, all in favor? That passes unanimously. Action item number 2 is to consider a resolution adopting the master fee schedule.
These are changes to the master fee schedule. We realized, Liz and I realized that we hadn't updated the rec fees, the current rec fees since December, and they make changes to those seasonally. So we've included those here as well as the parking fees that you have established over the last 2 years and discussions, so.
Okay, so is there a motion to adopt the new version of the master fee schedule? Trustee Rosen Asher, second. Trustee Patino, all in favor? That passes unanimously. Action item number 3 is to consider a resolution authorizing a step increase for Jennifer Dorman, who is the DPW Senior Office Assistant.
She left for this?
We have a memo from the DPW General Foreman dated June 6, 2023, which advises that as per the step schedule, her salary should be now a grade 12, step 6, which would be $99,171 effective June 10th. Is there a motion to authorize the step increase? Trustee Rosen Asher, second. Trustee Patino, all in favor? That passes unanimously. Action item number 4, which is one I've been practicing all day, is to consider a resolution authorizing the street closure of Cedar and Main Streets for the 2023 sesquicentennial. Thank you. Events to be held on June 30th between hours of 4 and midnight. So is there a motion? And I'm not going to repeat that. Trustee Sullivan, second. Trustee Galen, all in favor? That passes unanimously. Action item number 5 is to consider a resolution to set a hearing date for a local law to amend the zoning code clarifying basis for calculating lot size. We discussed this at the workshop. We've decided to move forward with it. So we're going to schedule a public hearing for, let's put it this way. Is there a motion to schedule a public hearing for June 27th, 2023 at 7:30 to address to consider a local law amending the zoning code? Trustee Rosen Asher, second. Trustee Rosenberg, all in favor? That passes unanimously. Is there a motion to consider a resolution approving the audit of claims as submitted and recommended by the village treasurer? Someone. Trustee Rosen Asher, second. Trustee Taylor, all in favor? That passes unanimously. Trustee liaison reports. We'll start, you know what, we'll start on this side. So Trustee Rosen Asher, do you have any?
Yes, I went to the senior barbecue. I was the bingo caller. A lot of fun. And we are going to hopefully be setting up a little town hall meeting with the seniors to address some of their concerns about the MC sector and the village in general. The Human Rights and Diversity Committee has been working very hard to get people to respond to the survey. So if you have not done it yet, please do so. They're all over the village. And they had a table at Greenberg Pride, which was a phenomenal event also. And it's an opportunity to give feedback on issues that are important.
Yes. Trustee Patino.
I don't have anything to report.
Trustee Taylor.
A couple of things. The library is sponsoring during this month a number of different Pride-related events of many different kinds, and I encourage people to look at the library website and to go participate what they're interested in. In addition, this is more administrative, but we do need to follow up with a letter to the STF. We may need a resolution in the next board meeting to authorize that grant. I don't know, Lori Lee, whether you had a chance to look at that language I sent you.
Did you just send it to me?
I sent it to you at the beginning of the meeting, but that's
I have
okay.
to-
We
I
can
have
follow
to-
up during the week.
I have
She's been listening to the meeting.
But I have not read my emails during the meeting. I'm sorry.
We want to
Yes, we
focus
have
on the
to-
meeting.
We have to prepare a resolution, yes. There's actually 3 resolutions that came out of the workshop. You need that resolution tonight? Would you like me to?
It's due on the 28th. I think our next board meeting is the 27th. We just would have to have a letter prepared and be ready
I think we can-
immediately following.
I think we can do that. Are you here on the 27th,
Yes.
28th? Yeah. Oh, I think we can.
Great.
Trustee
I
Galen?
apologize.
Are you done, Larry?
We're done down here.
Just want to thank everyone for the support of and participation in the Phoenicia Flea on June 3rd. It was really fantastic, as well as the River Arts Music Tour. And the Downtown Committee is ready to get involved in supporting all the sesquicentennial programming that will be coming up in partnership with the Recreation Department and the Chamber of Commerce.
You had to show off. I know you.
Throwing that in there.
Totally. Matt?
The Traffic Committee is going to be meeting tomorrow, where we will be discussing the sesquicentennial events. And the fact that at the dawn, 150 years ago, there were no cars in Dobbs Ferry. So I don't have a report from that yet, because it's tomorrow. And nothing from the Affordable Housing Task Force at the moment. Thank
Okay.
you.
Nicole?
The Recreation Committee did, our commission, our department, sorry, did a trivia night at the yard at Memorial Park. That was a great success. They're having another one tomorrow night. And they have a food truck there. I encourage people to go. It was super fun. Gets a little bit competitive, but it's still fun.
There we go. Okay, I have an announcement. The 2023, well, let me start from the beginning. In 2001, General Code began hosting a special recognition program to honor municipal clerks. This year, more than 300 nominations were received from 27 states. 27 states. Dobbs Ferry Village Clerk Liz Draper was number 1. In recognition of that, we have a certificate to give to the village clerk, Liz Draper.
Did she have to make it herself?
I didn't mean to do a certificate without her.
We have a camera, someone can take a picture.
Hey, really?
Hey, let's- Oh, boy.
Maybe she wants to make a speech.
We have the clerkiest clerk.
Now she's all buddy-buddy, but at NICOM, she was not hanging around with us. I know.
Oh, no. Yeah.
She's number 1. Are you number 1?
I think Liz hung out with me, so I don't know what you guys are talking about.
She was in demand.
I just want to say, when I went last year, Liz and I had dinner together, so
Wow.
she hung out with me.
Wow.
She wasn't number 1 then.
I just
You were
also,
when
That's a good, that's a good point. This was pre-nomination.
Madam
oh, I don't
And, and also I was the only trustee there.
Go ahead.
Okay, I also wanted to mention, I thought the mayor would do it, so I'll do it instead. That we had hosted the Greenberg Pride Walk and Rally on Saturday that was very well attended. Hopefully next year, if we host it again, it'll be even better attended. But it was a very eye-opening and fun and diverse experience, and I'm glad and proud that our community was a host and participated.
Yes. If there's nothing further, is there a motion to close tonight's meeting? Trustee Rose and Asher, second. Trustee Patino, all in favor? Meeting is hereby closed.
Really
Wait.
Advice on meeting now? Talking about